Finally, I have a pilot's watch in my collection. Ask Chris. I've been pestering about having a pilot's watch, a proper pilot's watch in my collection for such a long time, and here it is. And the twist with this one is I built it myself. Well, kind of at least. The right word, the most correct word to use maybe is assembled. But anyways, for the most of us, watchmaking is not a skill that we feel particularly comfortable with. Not only do you have to actually know what you're doing, but also you need a very steady hand and you need a good eye. Now with DIY Watch Club, you get the opportunity to feel like a watchmaker yourself for a few hours and at a very affordable cost, and you get to assemble your own watch. Now let me go into a little bit more detail. DIY Watch Club very kindly reached out to us and asked us if we wanted to build our own watch.
Wow, isn't Nearly doing a great job with this video? Leave him a like down below and consider subscribing if you want to see more of this content.
So I had a look at their website, I had a look at the watches that were available to assemble, and I saw a pilot's watch and I was like, yeah, this is it. Finally, this is my chance to own a pilot's watch. Whatever I will say in this video later on, where I explain the process of how I found the process, the result is that I do have my own pilot's watch that I assembled, and you will see by the differences in processes between my watch and Chris's watch, which you can see in a separate video, that this is actually for everyone if you really want to do it. Because I am not usually comfortable with fiddly stuff. I don't have the most steady hand, whereas Chris is a little bit more comfortable. He does, open up his own watches. He does make tweaks to them and is actually more knowledgeable from a technical perspective about movements and the entire watchmaking process. Whereas for me, this is kind of this huge wall of nope, not for me. But I wanted to give it a try and assemble my own pilot watch. Inside the toolbox, where you have obviously the tools and the parts of the watch that you need, so the case, the crown and the movement, you also get a card and you get a QR code that you have to scan, and this QR code will lead you to a very step-by-step, very detailed instruction to how to assemble your watch. Now the main thing with this entire process before I even start is patience. You need patience. You need to take a time of the day where you feel comfortable and relaxed to do this, and things may go wrong, and that's not fatal. You may have to restart a few things like I did, and that's okay, but don't rush it. I was already thinking about the finished product, and that also explains some of the bad footage, so apologies for that. But also on the bright side of this, I did this in my room. The light wasn't perfect. I was already tired from a day of work. I had to film it and I still managed to do it. So if you don't have to film it and you just have to care about actually getting it done and you take your time, this is very feasible. And so the first steps are actually the easiest, and it keeps getting more difficult as you move along with the process, which is kind of good because you gain some confidence when starting to do the simple things, especially when you're not used to these things. Also, I may add that with the instructions, you have videos that come with the description, videos for every single thing you have to do. So don't you worry, like everything is accounted for. Even when things go wrong, there is a video specifically for that. So when I unscrewed the case back, I laid it all out in front of me. That already felt good. Doing something already feels good. And then looking at the movement, I was pretty scared because I never had a movement in my hands, just the movement itself. And the movement, when you have it in your bare hands, it just feels so vulnerable. So that was the part where I was most scared about. Then I put the dial on the watch and everything starts coming together. And I feel very, at that point, already close to the finish. I'm like, now it's just the hands basically. I have to put on the hands and then put the entire thing into the watch case, screw it down, and we're done. It was not just the hands. Well, it was technically, but the hands are the most difficult part. And understandably so. You just take the hand, it's tiny, it's so fragile. Which is why DIY Watch Club gives you 2 sets of hands for each hand on your watch, which is amazing. That's really a lifesaver. Although I have to say I didn't mess up one of the hands. Like, all of the hands on my watch are from the first set of hands, which I'm really proud of, I have to say. And it took me incredibly long to put on the minute hand, up to the point where I was really frustrated. And then it overcame me. I was like thinking about why I was doing this video. I was doing this video to prove that it's doable. I truly believe that it was doable, you know, from watching previous videos about DIY Watch Club, and having the entire process in front of me with videos was basically everything that I needed. So I knew I had to just replicate what was shown to me. So I just kept trying, and that's what you're supposed to do. You are supposed to keep trying. You know, you're not supposed to get it on the first try if you have never done this. Putting on hands on a watch is incredibly difficult. It is a fragile process where actually a lot of things can go wrong, but that makes the entire thing so rewarding. So after I got the minutes hand on, there was only the third hand, the last hand, the bloody second hand to put onto this watch, and this is obviously the thinnest hand of them all. And for some reason at this point I was so concentrated, I was so focused, that I just did it on the first try, kind of. Like, I just looked at it from different sides. I took my time, which I didn't do with the other 2 hands. For the second hand, I knew the stakes were very high, and I managed to do it on the first try. And so at this point I was like, yes, this is finally it. And I kind of was, because after that you just have to put your dial with the hands, the movement, into the case, screw down the case, and then attach your bracelet or whatever you have ordered with the watch to the case, and that's it. That's your watch. So I'm aware we are not building a watch here, but we are assembling it. And for the most of us, this is as far as we're gonna get if we want to, you know, fiddle around with watches, unless you want to go further, which is entirely possible. I'm all for it if you want to try. But for beginners, this is an incredible experience, and it is an incredibly rewarding experience, because you have this sense of accomplishment after this arduous work of sitting there and, you know, working around these little pieces, putting them all together, and seeing your watch run by the end of it and putting it on your wrist is just such a cool thing. And the fact that you're able to choose the watch that you particularly want, you know, there's something for everyone. There's pilot's watches, as I chose, there's dive watches, there's skeletonized watches, there's dress watches, so I'm sure everyone can find their thing. So if you are into watches and you never really gave it a try, you know, to open up a watch, and you don't want to spend too much money on that, this is the perfect thing, because you get the tools that you need, which you'll be, by the way, able to use on other watches that you have later on as well. And you get to build your own watch, and that's something you will always cherish. Now, if you guys want to build your own watch, and if you want a discount, then use the code. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Ciao.